I was trying to draw like these. I think this happened on like pretty sure this happened on accident, right? And then it turned into waves because to cover it up. But like I was drawing right, and then like I noticed I drew a hand. Like I was cute to like look at it, and I was like, I almost looked like a hand cramping, right? And I was like, what the hell, right? Like that's weird, right? And then I sometimes draw a little like dink, 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 dink line on every single edge of it. I wonder. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, there's 5. Okay. One's protruding further still, though, but still. Alright. Yeah, so the waves were supposed to mean waves of phone calls about me, right? So try to get cover up the hand that I drew, apparently. I don't know why I drew the hand. I don't know what it was supposed to cover up, what it was. And it tries to not be aware of when to draw the... Oh, and when I was trying to draw the waves, I kept drawing a hand that looked like it was cramping, too. And to not know when to draw the curls or hooks at the end of the waves to make it look like they were waves. The hooks were supposed to make sure it didn't look like a hand, and it was supposed to be a reference to a song called Fantasy by Alina Baraz and Galimatias. I hope I pronounced that correctly. So, yeah, anyways. And then I was sanitized to draw like a house too. Just kind of a reference to how ridiculous it is, right, with all the drawings and everything. Like literally, it's evidence. A pitchfork. Meant handwriting analysis. There we go. Because I was sanitized to draw my Y's. There we go. I forgot about that. I forgot about that. And I forgot about that. That's an important thing. To draw my Y's with a curve at the top instead of 2 straight lines, because I used to draw 2 straight lines. Now it's a curve. And that was supposed to like be like it was supposed to look like a pitchfork, right? And then I realized that was kind of like the handwriting analysis, studying into what they taught me, using it as evidence to convict them. And I was hypnotized to think that was the devil, and those were a lot of the references that I was hypnotized to think of when John Matthew Hurl was referencing like Satan and everything like that in the letters to Billie Eilish. And then a stick figure with broken legs. I mentioned the stairs already. Oh, but yeah, like kind of fear to overcome fear, and it eventually ended up working, right? Because like I was like scared, right? Like I didn't want to have to break my legs, right? And I thought they were helping me, and then like if I wasn't doing that, I was drawing, and it didn't happen right away, but eventually I stopped hyperventilating, which was awesome as far as how I felt. I was hypnotized to draw like a potted flower. It was supposed to mean Halsey. I was hypnotized to kind of draw like a poorly drawn jester hat. And like kind of a tarantula jester with broken legs. That happened on accident. I had that recorded when I drew that too, I believe. I'm pretty sure I did actually. A gaslight match. Was supposed to reference the song Easy by G-Eazy, because that was the with Sun Lux, because that was a reference to gaslighting. Talking about like making the being alone easy. That's gaslighting. That's bad. I was even hypnotized to draw a bike. And that is even worse. And there's a reference there too. I was sentenced to draw a hat to cover up writing Adult Protective Services. And I was sentenced to draw like an eagle beak, right? And I was sentenced to think of like cracking a code and like a nut, right? And like the eagle, right, represented the hat that I was wearing when I was, like the eagle hat that I thought represented Charlie Sheen that got knocked off my head when I got tackled. When I got assaulted, right? And then charged with the aggravated assault for defending myself. And ironically, they're right next to each other at the end on this page. It's interesting. But yeah, so there's that. And then let's see, but anyways, the tarantula and the jester hat kind of look similar, right? Because, in the center, where the hat would be on the head, right? And then the protrusions off the hat, right? Off the cap part. And then, ironically, the hat and the eagle right next to each other. Very ironic thing, but, because, I'm a jester, right? Like, I'm a literal jester. My last name is Jester. And, with the bells at the end and everything like that, the hats. And, like the bells on the end, like you could draw like a tarantula, kind of. The bells would almost look like feet. You would just need 8 of them. And then, like, I think I draw it a certain way, and I think that was like a tarantula jester with broken legs. I don't know why. That one was a little complicated, right? But I swear that's not my imagination. Because, so these are like very, very specific things. Because I was also, like, I know that's not my imagination because I was hypnotized to think, like, you could do the same thing and create a tarantula out of it. And to think of Billie Eilish's song, You Should See Me in a Crown, because in the music video she has a tarantula in her mouth, and I think that's one of the things that she became famous for, or helped her become famous, at least. So those were some pictures that I was hypnotized to draw, and then to make things even worse, of course, when I reference these pictures, looking at the death threats that John Matthew Hurl sent, or the death threats that had no direct threat of death, implied from John Matthew Hurl to Billie Eilish, right? So, I mean, of course, it definitely looked like it was perceived to be that, like I've stated before. So it's understandable, where the confusion would come in there. But, from, and like it's actually impossible to know without the context that I'm providing as well. So, I mean, I'm hoping this is helpful. And this part isn't very, like, this is complicated because, well, I mean, I described a lot of this, right, from Everything I Wanted to Make a Wish, right? I was hypnotized to draw both of those, a little star shooting a beam of light, and to think, like, the more you know, right? Oh, wow, I just barely put that together. And there is an entire story that involves G-Eazy specifically, right? But they hypnotized me to feel euphoria listening to Billie Eilish's music, and to feel dysphoria listening to G-Eazy's music to try to prevent me from listening to his music. Same thing with Eminem's. Let me see. Yeah. Oh, that's why. So eyelash relates to a ruler, right? Because you lash somebody with a ruler. I mean, the eyelash and the eyelash. It's not very direct. It's a play on words. It's a metaphor, right? So I mean, there's a combination of metaphors here that correlate a pattern. And also, the second one, right? Well, I was also because so there was a. I'm trying not to mention any names of people that are not necessarily celebrities or were already in the news. Like specifically, just out of respect. You know what I mean? So of course I might have like a name slip up every once in a while. If it's a first name, it's not very big of a deal because it's not personally identifiable information, luckily. But and of course, like it's something that's like I have that's another form of evidence just to like open and close the case for her in the future. That's helpful, right? Um Oh, there we go, there we go. So, there was another reference. This was in a psychiatric hospital, right? When we were talking about medical malpractice and all this kind of stuff, right? Getting abused. Well, like you wouldn't think this would be like a very common issue, but apparently it's much more common than we actually are able to realize, right? So there was this man who was a veteran. He was also a veteran. That was something, that he was, right. He was very innocent, very kind, non-violent. Um, he was prescribed like Xanax and Prozac, and they put him on Haldol. He had lockjaw, um, teeth shattered in front of my own eyes. It was traumatizing for me to see. You know what I mean? Like, this is not right. I was traumatized from seeing it, and especially because where my trauma stemmed from a lot was involuntary medication administration, and then being threatened for trying to stand up for him. Because the I guess I think she might have been either the like CEO of the hospital or manager of the hospital, came onto the unit, yelled at all the patients, threatened that they all had to go to their rooms or else they were going to get restrained, even chemically restrained as well. And they actually ended up restraining him, and they shot him up with more Haldol when he was crying and begging for Cogentin, which is used to treat the extrapyramidal symptoms. And that's where also oh wow, that's where the pyramid comes in too. Because when you connect the pyramid with the eye, right, and there was one girl that stood up for him. I'm going to leave her name anonymous as well. With me, right, and like when the CEO came down and threatened all of us, we couldn't do anything about it, so we had to go back to our rooms. But she I was hypnotized to think of her when I would listen to Billie Eilish. And the reason being is because on Billie Eilish's first album, she has the album's called Don't Smile at Me. Oh, that's horrible. That's horrible, and that's horrible. Because broken teeth, right? Don't smile at me, right? And then the girl that I'm referencing was had vitiligo, which is a medical condition, like the same medical condition that Michael Jackson had, right? Loss of pigmentation in the skin, except hers was in her hair. It wasn't in her skin. So, you know, like, that's why I was hypnotized to think of those two being correlated. And then, you know, like, cogentin is used to treat extrapyramidal symptoms. Wow. And then, I mean, like, that's pretty bad, right? I mean, you know, like, I mean, you can make metaphors to correlate almost anything, but there is a lot in here. I mean, a lot. Let's see. Moving on. That used to be an umbrella, and then I taped over it. Because I think I messed it up. I can't remember what happened, but yeah. Oh, that's what that meant. That's what that did. I just barely realized that. That's horrible. So, if you can see here, right, I'm gonna point this out. You know, I'm recording this on Facebook Live right now, right? So, anyways, I'm gonna set my phone down. Or I'll just hold it anyways. Let's see, so I can see. But, you can see, like, I mean, like, wow, this is an old piece of paper. This thing's over a year old, right? This thing's older than a newborn baby. Anyways, so, like, I wrote SD on it, right? And, you know, it was supposed to reference, me writing the word murder and my hand cramping uncontrollably while writing the word murder. And the video is saved on my SD cards. And then, like, I was hypnotized to cover it up with all these drawings. I mean, and, like, the SD cards were compromised. You know, like, I've recorded that several times, right? So, I mean, there's that for you. You can even see the coffin there, too. Right? Like, music to be murdered by. Music to be murdered by, but... that, I'm just barely coming to realize that fact, right? Because there's a lot more evidence on the SD cards. And this was done to distract me from that evidence specifically. Because, all my electronics started glitching after I wrote... after I was writing that Donald Trump committed murder, and then my hand started cramping, and I tried to upload the video on the internet, and it wouldn't upload. And then all the videos on my SD card started disappearing and reappearing. And I was supposed to... see, I wrote rocks. R-O-C-K. Whoa, I didn't even see that before either. Because you can see, like, it looks like a C, but then if you cover that part up, you can see the K in it. And the K was supposed to be written inside the C. And then you can see that it even made a different C, where the C is the space inside the C is colored in. It's like a bubble letter C. And it's a, you know, normal C. That's crazy. Didn't see that coming. Yeah, there's a lot of evidence on this. A lot. Oh. Yeah. Oh, I think that's why I got rid of the umbrella, because I was covering up my last name. So I taped over it. Ah, my back. Two hours and 7 minutes on this video. But yeah, I spent a long time on this. this also happened too. Reference to breaking knees. And then let's see. This is an example of what I was like hypnotized to draw. I was writing victim tampering, witness tampering, tampering with evidence on the walls. Wrote a police report on the walls. Had my phone numbers to my family and friends confiscated for writing on the walls, which doesn't exactly make sense. See? Those are doodles to be murdered by, right? It's like saying, you know, that's actually why I wrote this. Because it's kind of like, you know, are you being serious right now? Like, you think that's normal to, like, draw a doodle of a death threat? Like, here, this is a house and a can of gas. I'm gonna burn your house down. Take that. Like, what? No, like, that's not normal. You know what I mean? Like, that's suspicious is what I'm trying to get at. Like, that's, like, I mean, you know, like, the drawings he drew also, like, he drew, like, fire and eyes. A lot of eyes, which is also a correlation there, too, because he might have had some very similar post-hypnotic suggestions. Not identical, of course, I'm sure, but I'm sure very similar. And, yeah. Let's see. Ow, ow, my back. Oh, this one. Oh, this was the first time I drew it as a pocket watch, too. Because I didn't even know about that until, like, afterwards. I was trying to, like, this is, like, the type of stuff that I was trying to talk about for, like, over a year now, literally. And the hypnosis has inhibited my ability to do so. Anyways. So, yeah, that's kind of, like, what the artwork would look like when I was drawing on the back of a picture. And if I would make a mistake in handwriting, I was hypnotized to cover it up with a picture. Right? And so this is like evidence of murder, by the way. Oh, great. Oh, the essential oil. Well, I think that had something to do with the euphoria, probably, which is kind of really bad because it hypnotized me to think that, see, that says ow, right? And it's a stick figure with broken legs. That's scary. Told me that was a reference to one of Billie Eilish's songs. And I was also hypnotized to think that one of the people that hypnotized me to say, to like, this is so bad. They showed me Billie Eilish's album cover, I think, before it came out. I mean, the first time I got hypnotized was in April 2018. I'm not 100% sure, I could be wrong, but like, I had been told about a lot of things before they happened, so I wouldn't be surprised. Regardless, you know, like, it's a good possibility that her record label could even be put under investigation overall. With the situation here. And I was also hypnotized to feel euphoria listening to Billie Eilish's music, to get me to start listening to her music. There are so many references in here. Like, and one of Billie Eilish's songs about global warming, I was hypnotized to think like, kind of like, so, global warming, the concept of global warming is kind of like flooding, right? That's one of the concepts of it. Polar ice caps melting, and then the sea levels rise, and things start flooding. Well, I was hypnotized to imagine waves of phone calls, and to also raise my, like when I was in jail, there's this guy that he raised his you know what flood pants are, right? Well, when you're flooded, right, you raise your pants up like above your ankles, far above your ankles where your calf is showing. So there's my hairy leg. But I mean, typically like it'd still be like below your kneecap, for example. But you get the point. Is like flood pants, right? Because the water is above your feet and your ankles, so then your pants don't get wet. I was hypnotized to think of that because if I broke my knees, Bear River Mental Health would be flooded with phone calls because of their abusive policies in the jail. And that there would be waves of phone calls about me. And, a reference to some lyrics that I had to censor as an example to avoid a copyright violation. Another reference to another song